one battle after another. Anthony, this again proves that Paul Thomas Anderson is one of the best, if not the best, living filmmaker.
Without a doubt, man. We've been saying this since we started the podcast 5 years ago.
We've been saying since I was 13 years old, to be honest.
Yeah, PTA is one of the great auteurs of our generation, of this century of filmmaking, and I'm so glad that he's getting so much attention because none of his recent releases have caught on with zeitgeist, with young film fans. His work has been kind of like polarizing. We love all of his work, whether it be The Master or Inherent Vice or Licorice Pizza the last few years. Phantom Thread, I think, is an outlier where everybody loves Phantom Thread, but man, I can't think of a buzzier film than One Battle After Another than Sinners, which came out this spring. Everybody's talking about this movie. It's got a 4.5 rating on Letterboxd, which is amazing. And then it's got a 8.5 rating on IMDb. These are like all-time top 200 films ever kinds of ratings. A+ cinema score. Made $21-ish million at the opening weekend box office, $50 million globally. But James and I believe this is going to have great legs from amazing word of mouth. And it just seems like everybody online is saying, you have to see this film. So I think friends, families, people who are on the fence, they're going to go watch it second weekend, third weekend.
It clocks in at a brisk 2 hours and 42 minutes, R-rated. It's dark. Plenty of comedy and action in this. PTA described this movie as an action comedy with a side of postpartum depression, which I think is a pretty fun way to describe it. It's the first time he's gone contemporary since Punch Drunk Love in 2002, wow, which is really cool. Loosely inspired by Thomas Pynchon's 1990 novel Vineland, which Anderson toyed with adapting for years before crafting an original screenplay. He's been working on how to do this for about 20 years. He's working on the screenplay. And the film blends screwball, farce, high-octane action, socio-political satire, an intimate family drama, all fused into a powder keg of a narrative that explodes into an incredible second to third act with the finale that just leaves your jaw on the floor, I think. Shot on Vista Vision, which is a widescreen 35mm format, which we'll talk about in depth in a little bit. Revived for this occasion. Brutalist shot a little bit of it, but this is the first movie since 1961 to be released in Vista Vision formats. You can also see it in 70mm IMAX, which I'm representing right now.
Look
with
at that
shirt.
Amazing.
It's designed as a big screen event, so you got to see this movie in theaters. If you can see it on film projection, 35mm, 70mm, Vista Vision, if you can, you have to see that because it really just stands out from CGI spectacles.
This is what we need to see filmmakers do is, embracing film, but also, showing the appetite for it. When I went to look at showtimes to see this for the second time, I'm looking at 70mm IMAX, 70mm, and I'm telling you, this weekend, everything was booked. It was so amazing to see, whether it be the TCL in LA or the City Walk or Quentin Tarantino's Vista Vision projection
Playing
at the Vista.
all month.
It is amazing to see that there are so many people who are curious and have a pull to large format film. And it's just amazing that so many people are embracing it where these shows are sold out in huge theaters. And it's just amazing. I love this. There's an appetite for this. We don't always have to do whatever the new tech is. And Paul Thomas Anderson made a great film that used both old and new and modern techniques with old techniques. He's using one of the oldest film formats possible, but it's a contemporary movie.
Rebuilding old cameras,
Yeah, and I love his take on... I've always been curious for him to see what he does in a contemporary film, and he hasn't done it for so long. But the way he shoots, the way he's telling a story in our era, it just feels different. I know he's been avoiding, smartphones for a while, and he's obviously been so attracted to period pieces, but seeing him making a movie in our time was so much fun. I love the story. These characters are so incredible. This is what makes him a great writer is the characters are so well fleshed out. You get a great villain in this. You get great lead actors in this. You got an amazing cast. DiCaprio, Tiana Taylor, Jason Finity in her film debut, outstanding. Sean Penn in one of his greatest performances ever. Benicio del Toro holding it down. Regina Hall, Lana Heimwood Harris, Jack Trout. Amazing cast of actors. Everyone brought it. And I think that when an actor's hired to work with PTA, they're going to take it as seriously as possible. And he has such an amazing way of working with actors. helping them hone whatever performance they're getting out, or they're putting into a film, and he knows how to cast films really well.
Real quick before we continue, check out this amazing The Running Man poster over my shoulder provided to us by our great friends at movieposters.com. Use our code Raiders10 to get posters from there today and get 10% off at your checkout. A lot of people are also using our affiliate link. We get notifications. We love to see that. Our affiliate link is available in the episode description or our social media bios. That gets us a commission off every purchase using that link. So use our affiliate link. Use our coupon code Raiders10 for 10% off. It's a win-win for everybody. You get an incredible poster from our great friends at movieposters.com. This movie is the biggest he's ever made. Reported budget around $130 to $140 million, making it Anderson's most expensive film yet. But it's already grossed $48 million globally and $21 million-ish domestic. But overall, this is performing really well overseas. It's really impressive. His biggest debut ever, outperforming expectations. The marketing campaigns are really solid as well. The word of mouth on the internet is glowing, gushing about this film. I haven't seen this much gushing about a movie since, I guess, Parasite, maybe. Like, in Oppenheimer.
In terms of, like, critic and rave reviews, yeah.
Everyone's talking about this movie if they have any space online where they're talking about film or television or entertainment. I think that One Battle After Another is going to be the clear frontrunner for Best Picture. I can definitely see Sean Penn also being a Best Supporting Actor potential winner because he is absolutely outstanding in this movie. I mean, this movie's full of Oscar-nominated talent, Oscar-winning talent. DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn. And I think it's wild to say when you have a movie with Benicio and Leo in it, but then you see Sean Penn. And I think Sean Penn gives the best performance in this entire movie. He's incredible in this role as Lockjaw, which we'll get into more detail with.
Oh, yeah.
But I think this movie does a great job exploring so many things in our present time. You know, we're living in a very politically charged society and culture. PTA has never really dabbled in politics before. He's not a political filmmaker. He makes very unique stories, and they're also different from one another, but he rarely infuses politics into them at all. If it's a political take, it's something very contained, like the porn industry in Hollywood and Boogie Nights or something like that.
The politics of that industry.
Yeah, the politics of the porn industry in Hollywood. So it's really interesting to see what his version of a contemporary political movie would be.
Well, making a political movie is hard.
Yeah, sure.
It's difficult because they're hot button topics, they're touchy issues, and people are very emotional about whatever they believe. And so you're kind of walking a tightrope and walking on eggshells, and it can work and it cannot work. But some of the greatest films of all time are political. You know what I mean? Some of the best films ever made are politically charged movies, and I think it's important to still keep trying to make these movies. And I think that he did a great job of really showcasing, and I thought this and Eddington, both movies did a great job of showcasing, you know, climate of our culture, of society, of whatever side, whatever belief system, doesn't matter. I think that these filmmakers, with their stories and with how they portrayed their narratives, I thought they were really well done, really well executed, respectful, and wasn't really taking sides or anything, but really just showcasing what are we like right now as a people, as a society, as a culture. How are we behaving? What are we saying to each other, and how are we thinking? Both filmmakers, I believe, tapped into that really well. This, I think, I agree, is going to be the front runner for Oscars. It's probably about time. It's gonna be time for PTA to finally win an Oscar. It's hard to even imagine. He's one of those filmmakers that, you know, are they ever gonna win something or get the accolade and that limelight? Not that they need it, but like when it took
Nolan all the way to Oppenheimer when Best Director.
And I wasn't sure he ever would. I thought he was gonna be like Hitchcock or Stanley Kubrick or, you know, David Fincher's in that house of, you know, sorry, he won. Are they gonna ever win the trophy, even though they are the preeminent storytellers of their day? I think this is his best chance, and from how everyone's reacting to it, to have an A+ cinema score on a movie like this, it's unbelievable. And there's a new theory in Hollywood where the first weekend isn't the most important weekend anymore, but the second weekend is the first weekend. And even so, the third weekend is just as important. So I think this film, obviously it started a little soft, but I think it's going to have a great second and third weekend.
It's a good point because we're so used to front load heavy films with big blockbusters now, or everyone just talks about and reports on the opening weekend, but that second weekend's integral because it shows the drop of interest, and that is really a signifying and defining part of a film's opening experience is how much of a drop is it going to experience from first weekend to second weekend, and that generally is a good indicator of whether a movie will have legs or not. You know what? If a movie drops 55%, that's a really good drop to not lose that much audience. But then when you see movies that are so front-loaded and they're losing sometimes upwards of 80% of their audience going into the second weekend, it's like that's really just not good for a film. So I think this is going to have great word of mouth, and I think the stars itself are going to sell it, let alone the story and the filmmaking. I mean, with Leonardo DiCaprio, who's just one of the best box office performers outside of an actor not doing any superhero movies, really staying away from sci-fi for the most part of his career, besides Inception, which is really interesting. And really just telling great human stories, great dramas. Still one of the biggest earners out there for box office, and when it comes to paychecks as well, pulling 25 per movie. Sean Penn again. But Leonardo DiCaprio is great in this movie as Bob Ferguson, who's basically this vulnerable, paranoid-stricken, atypical hero who, for me, feels like a mix between Rick Dalton and the dude from Big Lebowski. And he's hysterical. He plays a former revolutionary from the French 75 who seems like he was more into the revolutionary game because he was really interested in this woman played by Tiana Taylor, Perfidia. And he goes into hiding with his daughter, Willa, after Perfidia is arrested and taken into custody. And they go on the run. They change their identities. And basically Bob is looking after his daughter in the middle of nowhere in the Pacific Northwest, trying to hide out. He knows his daughter is being sought after at some point by this common enemy played by Sean Penn, Lockjaw, but he's doing his best to keep it together, but he's also just smoking weed, being paranoid, doing crazy things.
Get it together, Bob.
Losing himself on his couch, but he's hysterical.
This is the first film I've seen that PTA has depicted aging and the change in generations, because Bob Ferguson, it's an outstanding role, and you can see why Leo, I mean, obviously wanting to work with Anderson, but also it's a fantastic role. It's very complex, and he's a guy. And I think it's pretty accurate to who we are as people in generations, where when we're young, younger people are generally more politically active and invested in what's happening. And then as they get older, people go into their 40s and their 50s. They're like, life's worn you down. You're not as committed or passionate about issues that you were when you were younger. And Bob Ferguson is a depiction of that. He was a extreme revolutionary, radical person, and now in older age, in middle age, he just hangs out at home and kind of is a recluse and a hermit and isn't active at all. And so I think that PTA was really saying how, you know, the young blood always gets culture moving and is like the life force of a culture in a society. And the old heads are always like, oh man, these young kids these days, they're crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. They're going too far. So I think that happens with every generation. And I found that as I was watching this, he and his daughter Willa, played by Chase Infinity, were depictions of the generational divides that every decade has.
Really good point. And it's crazy to think that Leonardo DiCaprio has never worked with Paul Thomas Anderson before, because he would just fit so well in the world of a Paul Thomas Anderson film, with the great comedic chops and mixed with drama and just an ability to create really memorable and well thought out characters, which they both are experts at. Now, Paul Thomas Anderson originally approached Leonardo DiCaprio to star as Dirk Diggler in Boogie Nights back in 1997. However, Leonardo DiCaprio instead chose to do Titanic, which obviously made him the biggest star on the planet Earth for at least 10 years. Undoubtedly, there's no one I think ever been a star that big in the last 50 years at that time in history. Now, DiCaprio has since regretted that decision, saying it was a masterpiece. You know, it's really one of the most profound movies of his generation, he says. But what's really interesting is Leonardo DiCaprio is the one who got Mark Wahlberg in PTA's periphery to star in the role. So when he turned down Boogie Nights, he said, I can't do it, but I have a guy that I think would be great for the role. I just worked with him, Mark Wahlberg, and PTA just thought he's just Marky Mark, the rapper guy, the underwear guy from Calvin Klein and Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. I'm like, am I going to put him in a movie? But then, Leo just worked with him on Basketball Diaries, so he's a great actor. I think he'd be perfect for this role. And that's how the introduction happened between Paul Thomas Anderson and Mark Wahlberg. Leonardo DiCaprio facilitated it, and ever since, PTA and Mark Wahlberg make one of the great American films in the 1990s with Boogie Nights. Mark goes on to be one of the biggest stars in the world as well, and PTA, one of the greatest filmmakers alive. And I think that's such a cool story that sort of gets lost in the wind when people think, oh, Leo just said, no, I don't want to do Boogie Nights. And PTA is like, who am I going to find? Mm-hmm. Leonardo DiCaprio is the one who put Wahlberg in that position.
Oh, that's great. And speaking of back then, this is a screenplay that Anderson has been writing for 20 years.
Long fucking time.
Which is crazy long fucking time. To think that, to spend 20 years on a story, and you can see why. It's a complex narrative, and if you don't get it right, it can suck. This is a very unique story, and it's a very non-traditional narrative. And you can see how this could have veered. You can see why it took him so long to feel confident to make the film and even to find funding and investors. But yeah, he started writing this 20 years ago. But I think, if for someone like him, if the story's staying with him for that long and he keeps going back to it, and you can imagine he keeps revisiting it, adding to it, what's not working, what is working, and then to finally be like, I figured it out, then you're just like, I have to see this movie. If he spent so long on this story and he thinks that he cracked it, that's enticing for me to see it already. But you gotta commend the commitment, because Anderson's someone who's never compromised in his entire career. He's except for with Hard Eight, where he was basically forced to compromise on the cut of the film and the title of the film, which he originally wanted to call Sydney, and he was not able to control the cut of that movie. But since then, since that was such what I've seen from interviews and read about him, that was a terrible experience for him in post-production. He has now, since then, starting with Boogie Nights and on, been adamant about the control of his stories, the control of his narratives, the edits, not compromising on budget, not compromising on how strange a story is, how unique a story is, how bizarre his storytelling can be. He's someone who really has always stuck to his guns, and that's why I appreciate him so much. He's willing to do the really strange thing because he likes it, because he probably gets a kick out of Sean Penn having a boner while he's being handcuffed by Teyana Taylor's character. That shit's funny, but like, what other filmmaker would do that? You know what I mean? It's like, once that scene happened and she's got him by a gun and she's like, get it up without standing, I was like, oh my God, this is what we're in store for, and I can't wait for everybody to see this really oddball tone.
The movie also plays tribute to really a name that people probably don't know in the outside of, really people in the industry, is Adam Sumner, who was PTA's longtime collaborating first AD. He's worked on so many movies, Adam Sumner. He passed away at the age of 57. One Battle After Another was the last film he worked on. And this guy was the first AD for all kinds of fantastic movies. I'm talking Martin Scorsese films, Ridley Scott movies, Kingdom of Heaven, Man on Fire, Munich,
wow.
Steven Spielberg movies, There Will Be Blood, Indiana Jones, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, War Horses, The Master, Wolf of Wall Street, Inherent Vice, Bridge of Spies, The Revenant. I mean, this guy's career is probably the most decorated for a first AD. Ford vs. Ferrari, Ready Player One.
He's the guy.
It's absurd. Phantom Thread. And he was really just the thing with ADs and first ADs. People may not know exactly what they do, but they deservedly get a high credit when the credits start in a film, because they are really like one of the biggest people on set. They're in charge of managing everything. They're a liaison. They're communicating with the director and DOP on pretty much everything. They're such a key integral part to every film's success and management with logistics, scheduling. They bear an immense weight of work every single day, every production. And age of 57 is so young. He died of thyroid cancer, but it's so great for PTA to pay tribute to Adam Sumner with the credits at the end of the film. And this was the last film he worked on.
Amazing work, amazing body of work. That's unbelievable to have. What a career. And speaking of careers, Chase Infinity, she's about to become the next it girl. I think
What's her next role gonna be?
She is huge now. And it's imagine like this is your first film role, and you're acting opposite Sean Penn, DiCaprio, Benicio, Regina Hall, Teyana Taylor. Like it's insane to be put into that, and she held her own so well. She's very photogenic. She has acting chops. I think she's got a huge future. You had seen she was in the Jake Gyllenhaal series Presumed Innocent is what it was called.
Yep.
So that was her first acting major credit, and then this is her first film. But man, what a debut! Works so well and effortlessly with this incredible cast. Benicio, he's just one of the greats, and this is their second collaboration. He and Anderson. He was in Inherent Vice. Really loved seeing him in that movie, and he again is one of those characters who just fits the tone of honestly like any director.
He's that good.
It doesn't matter the director.
He goes from Phoenician Scheme to walks over to the set for Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, and he's like, "Yep,
The
you can do
Villeneuve movies, he can really do anything.
He can be an assassin in Sicario. Yeah. He's one of the best actors ever. Yeah.
He's got so much range, and I mean, I just love seeing him, and you can see how much he brings to this character, whether like the funny dance he does when he's getting arrested, these little things, and everyone's
He's like
flawed.
an alcoholic.
Yeah,
Beers in the car.
Yeah, everyone's a flawed character. Like he's not like he's not like an amazing hero. Like he's drinking and driving.
As soon as he breaks him out of the hospital, he hands Bob a beer. It's so funny.
It's great. And then Sean Penn and his unbelievable physicality, whether it be his insane walk or the mannerisms with his jaw and his teeth, and the sticking his comb in his mouth to wet it to comb his hair forward, his terrible haircut, the insanely high fade, his speech mannerisms. Someone said, I saw he was playing RFK Jr.
Yeah,
pretty similar mannerisms, but I was just like, it's a villain who he's terrifying at the same time as pitying. You're like, this guy's pathetic, but he's also fucking terribly evil, and you do not want to step across him. He's very strange.
He's so uptight. He's stilted talking, like you said. But what I found so interesting about the physicality of Sean Penn's performance as Lockjaw, specifically with the walk and his gait, it's very specific. I was watching this movie. I can't help but think when I was watching this movie that PTA asked him to walk like you had something shoved up your ass the whole time. That's what it looks like. He's walking like he's got something shoved up his butt.
He might
as
the character.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's why it's funny because and then he says he was reverse sexual assaulted. I don't want to say the R word.
Yeah.
But he said that happened to him in reverse. So it's like
how exactly did that happen in reverse?
And it's a character who's insanely terrifying but also pathetic at the same time. This crazy spectrum in this tightrope walk that Sean Penn does, because at times he's so comical and silly, and he's talking about the jet ski that he got, about a purchase that could have been poorly credited.
The return.
And then but then a second later he's using force and weapons and holding this young girl hostage, doing a DNA test, forcing to test their DNA to see if he's her biological father.
I'm not a homosexual. That's what you mean. And I thought it was amazing because this film has a really absurdist tone, and we've talked about Dr. Strangelove in comparison with this film, and his scenes and sequences involving this conspiratorial force of the Christmas Adventure Club. I think that it's silly and ridiculous, but also what makes it so great to have in this film is because these secret societies exist.
100%.
You'd have to be really ignorant to believe that there aren't extremely powerful people, extremely wealthy people behind closed doors who are navigating the power players of our society with their own motives and nefarious motives, and that's why this film is so unique, because Anderson's showing that. And no, we can't see behind these doors. We don't know what these people are really saying to each other.
Hail Santa.
But yeah, Hail Santa. It's amazing absurdist humor and satire, but what makes it so powerful and resonant is because we know these societies exist. They might not be called the Christmas Adventure Club, but they're there. And it's a bubble and it's a secret club, and they exist, and I think they absolutely can be threats to us. This film showcased that it's such a tone that is inviting to an audience to really look at, but also it makes us realize, oh, these things exist, and it can make us more aware, I think. And I think it was just so well done, how insanely strange and satirical it was.
I think it's just, you take a flagrantly silly name to basically to belly or hide the sinister agenda, which is, that might be real.
Yeah.
I'm sure PTA knows some very powerful and influential people, and I'm sure there are rumblings. I'm sure he got inspiration from these probably conversations he's had with people like, have you heard about this? And there are documented stories of these secret societies. Like every president's part of the special club, or, Ivy League clubs that go on to exist for years.
Like that campsite in the woods with the
the fuck is that?
Yeah, we all know there's something going on there.
There's something happening. And, I like how he's bringing in the idea. I think he's also messing with conspiracy theorists.
Sure.
I think with his secret society, Christmas Adventures Club, I think that he's messing with conspiracy theorists, thinking that maybe that's his way of saying, oh, people think there are like lizard people running the government, or secret societies that are just all these five elites. There probably are. I wouldn't be surprised, but I think he's also messing with them. He's being coy.
There are criticisms that Sean Penn's performance was too over the top. And I was like, in a movie with the Christmas Adventure Club, it's over the top? Are you fucking kidding me?
What's great about the Christmas Adventures Club is that it's in this basement of this house that the sweet old lady lives in.
Talking about, what were they talking about? The pie she made?
Yeah.
The famous pie?
Something. And the guy's just wearing a fleece that just goes in. But it was weird and surreal and terrifying all at the same time. And I think he was doing Doctor Strangelove vibes, especially the circle table. I got that feel and the same kind of tone during that sequence.
Yeah, and there's also, like, as ridiculous as it was also terrifying at the same time. To be like, wow, these people do exist and they pull strings, and we're seeing like a movie depicting that. And also just like the assassin character, like they got someone, the guy who arrives
Smith.
at the house, and you're like, I was like, this guy is like, he's the fucking killer.
He's just like a normal guy, but then it's like, oh, damn.
Yeah, like, and oh my God,
His Mustang was sick.
when he spoiler alert right now, when he shot Lockjaw, oh my God, that shot, the edit, the sound design, the crash of the car, dude, PTA shooting big action, oh my God, it's great, man. I fucking love it. And it's also like so insane, like when Bob falls off the roof, like he's like, oh, he's got a plan. He's with the young guys. They're gonna lead him out of the city. He's gonna go find his daughter. They're jumping on roofs, and he fucking falls down the roof. It was amazing. It was an amazing stunt, because then the stuntman falls, and then Leo gets up, and it looks like they sold it. It looked like it was Leo who fell down that roof, and he did not. He said in an interview, he's like, I didn't jump off a roof. He's like, you kidding me? I'm not doing that.
He's an actor.
He was like, that was a stuntman.
Can I fall off a horse? Yes, I sure have, and I can, and I have. I want to talk about Vista Vision, and then we'll run to our intermission, then we'll come back and finish up and talk some more about the film, because there's so much to break down. Now, Vista Vision, what is it? It is a widescreen 35mm motion picture film format developed by Paramount Pictures in 1954 to compete with other widescreen processes like CinemaScope during the widescreen wars of the 1950s. Unlike standard 35mm film, which runs vertically to the camera and exposes a 4 perforation, 4 per frame, Vista Vision runs the film horizontally, exposing an 8 perf per image frame. This creates a large negative, approximately nearly double the area of standard 35mm, resulting in higher resolution, finer grain, and superior image clarity. The format was nicknamed Lazy 8 due to the horizontal film path and 8 perf frame. Film this way reduces grain, enhances detail, provides better depth of field, and is ideal for large screen projection or visual effects.
And it's the same theory as IMAX film's creation, which it's the same process. They took 70mm 65 millimeter, and then they use that horizontal to double the frame size. Hence, that's where you get the size of the IMAX film, which is still the highest quality possible. But this shows that, audiences and filmmakers, not everyone, obviously, there are a lot of people who don't give a fuck. They don't even know what. I've talked to people, they don't even know what film is.
Yeah, they don't.
And they're in their 20s.
I know. I've said film to people. They're like, "What do you mean film?" I'm like,
they don't even know what it is.
Yes.
And so it's not.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, not everybody is a cinephile. This totally cool. They like to see movies once a month, if that. That's not their thing. But there are a lot of us who care about this, and they care about quality. And I'm telling you, man, because I've gotten into debates with people, and people will be like, "Oh yeah, Vista Vision, it's just the same thing as 8K digital." It's not.
No.
It's not. Just because something has the same, you could say, pixel ratio as what the film of Vista Vision is, might have the same size, and even a large sensor in a digital camera. The way that digital captures images and the way that film captures images are completely different. And they look different. They feel different. And I'm someone who, I love film. And I think I prefer it. But not everyone wants to shoot on film, and I respect that. Digital has its pros. Digital is, you can say, safer, in some ways easier to shoot with. And there are filmmakers that have really flocked to it. Cronenberg's never going to shoot on film again. David Fincher, and they're making great work, and their films are amazing. But just because something is 8K does not mean it's better or comparable, but it doesn't mean it's better in the same as shooting the same size format on film, because film is so lush in texture and the colors and what the film stock does, what the grain does. There's just something magical about it. And when I think of cinema, people think about cinematic look, and they try to do it with lighting. But in my opinion, the cinematic look really is defined by film and celluloid.
It's organic. It's real.
Yeah.
It's not artificial. It's like looking at a painting next to a very incredible high image digital resolution copy of that painting.
Nice.
The painting is always going to be better. Now let's run to our intermission. We'll come back and we'll chat more about One Battle after another. Now, before we continue, best way to support the show, guys, multiple things you can do. Go to YouTube, join our memberships program, which is new. You get access to episodes as they're scheduled. You can watch them freaking 5 days ahead of time if you want. You get bonus episodes as well. Plus, Patreon.com is very similar. You get bonus episodes on Patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. But Patreon is the only site you can get access to the Letterboxd recap, as well as Discord and many other perks like free merchandise. Those are great subscription services to help us pay our rent, Patreon, and YouTube memberships. In addition to that, leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. I'll read a written review out from Apple Podcasts in just a minute. These help us chart, add reputability to the show, and we just love to read your hilarious essays or quips or roasting us in the Apple Podcast reviews. It's a lot of fun,
Especially when we deserve it.
And then also sharing us with your family and friends. Word of mouth is a great way for a podcast to grow, but social media is huge for us. You all know we're big on Instagram, TikTok. Those platforms, your engagement, your comments, your shares, your likes, that's how we get access to early screenings. That's why we were able to see One Battle after another 3 weeks ago at the world premiere. We wouldn't be able to go to those things if we didn't have social media followings that really engage with our content. So leaving comments and likes and sharing on all platforms is so helpful to us.
This episode, like always, is sponsored by our friends at movieposters.com, the #1 place to get all of your posters today. Use our promo code there, Raiders10. That will always get you 10%.
Whoa.
That'll always get you 10% off your order.
It's like you trying to say McIntyre.
As well as our affiliate link. That gives James and I a little cut of the action. They have a huge selection of pretty much every film and TV show imaginable in their poster library. Everything from your favorite Hollywood classics to modern hits like One Battle After Another, like that Running Man poster behind James with Glenn's giant face on it. I think he's going to put that in his bedroom after it's on the set.
On my ceiling.
Also, really cool international posters, art prints from amazing artists, and even collectible items like lobby cards and original posters from classic films from way back in the day. Very valuable items that they have a huge warehouse full of. All
We've
of your
been there. It's huge.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. As well as backlit posters, all sorts of poster frames and sizes with UV light blocking glass that protects your posters forever from UV light. For all of your poster needs, go to movieposters.com. Amazing quality, amazing price, made even better thanks to our promo code Raiders10 and the affiliate link.
All right, let's get into our intermission and begin with.
Real quick, I want to shout out a bunch of. So we got some new cool patrons today.
Oh, cool. Let's hear.
Gabby, Randy, Chris, Simon, Mary Jane, Daniel Lee, and Blackbird Inc. Thanks for joining our Patreon, guys.
Oh, we appreciate it, everyone.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Intermission time. Let's begin, Anthony, with the movie quote competition. Okay. This is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
Big Lebowski.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up, Donnie!
I did not step over the line. He stepped over the line. All right, here's mine. You gotta control your smiles and cries because that's all you have, and nobody can take that away from you. Smiles and cries.
That's pretty funny. That's training day.
Yep.
That's Ethan Hawke in training day. Smiles and cries. High as hell. Didn't know you like to get wet.
They're like, ain't like I held a gun to your head.
Guess this movie release year, Anthony. The Rock.
It's funny. I did a Sean Connery movie after
Nice.
this too. 98.
96.
96. What year did Before Midnight come out? Not the Sean Connery one. That's after this.
Oh,
one.
I was like, what Sean Connery movie
Sean
is
Connery
Before
questions
Midnight?
next.
Before Midnight. I'm going to say 2013.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice job.
Nice. I was trying to do the math in my head because it's every 9. So, yeah.
I might have given you a hint to get this question right, though.
Okay.
What,
Anthony.
what was Alec Baldwin's?
Wait, it's my turn.
Oh, sorry.
My turn.
I already said half the question.
Or go for it then.
What was Alec Baldwin's Jack Ryan movie called? Which is arguably the best Jack
Hunt for
Ryan
Red
movie.
October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the best Jack Ryan. I watched it the other day. It's
Mint.
McTiernan, man.
I have a fun. Oh, he made that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't know that. I have a fun quiz question for you. How many real life characters can you name that Leonardo DiCaprio's played in films?
Howard Hughes.
1. Naming the movie is fine as well. If you
Oh,
can't
naming the
remember.
movie's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's great. Hugh Glass. The Revenant.
2.
Romeo and Juliet. Just kidding. Edgar. J. Edgar.
Yep. It's 3.
How
Yep.
many do I have to name?
As many as you can.
Oh, as many
so
as
you
I
got
can.
3 so far. J. Edgar
Okay.
Hoover.
Okay, cool. Hold on, what the fuck? Basketball Diaries.
Yep. That's Tobias. I mean,
I don't know his name.
Jim Carroll.
Jim Carroll.
It's 4. Doing pretty good.
I feel like there's a bunch though. Hold on, I'm trying to think. Oh, fucking A. Like what? Why am I blanking on Leo movies?
There's a couple really big ones that
know.
you're blanking on.
I'm sure.
Huge.
Huge.
I tell you, man, when you're under pressure, the people are screaming names of movies, but like
It's hard
when the cameras are on, you're under
Yeah.
pressure. It's like on the spot.
Under pressure. Dun, dun, dun. Fuck.
You've got 4, and I think there's 11. So FYI, 10. There's 10.
Oh my god. Hold on. Why can't I think of DiCaprio Scorsese movies?
You're so pissed.
I know. I'm gonna be really mad at myself.
I'm giving you. If you can't say another one in the next 15 seconds, we're moving on. Or I'm gonna give you the answers.
Just say them.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm blanked.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh yeah.
Ernest Burkhardt plays in that movie. The Wolf of Wall Street. Jordan Belfort. Frank Abagnale Jr. from Catch Me If You Can. The Man in the Iron Mask, based off King Louis the 14th. Total Eclipse. I've never seen that movie. He plays a guy named a poet from the 19th century, Arthur Rimbaud. And then This Boy's Life. He plays in that movie with De Niro. That's actually based off that guy's memoirs, Tobias Wolff's memoirs. I can't believe you Catch Me If You Can, Wolf of Wall Street. You should just retire, bro. Like,
man, what an L. What an L on my part.
All right. Oh wait, I got pull up some unsubscribes. I'm gonna pull up a review.
All right, first up, we got a bunch because we haven't recorded in a few days. Jacob Schneider forgot about Beetlejuice. Unsubscribed. I was trying to think of Keaton Burton. Again, I can't think of things off the top of my head anymore. I think it's age. Dan in the God Hand. On our post about our upcoming Thailand trip, the flights aren't included. Unsubscribed. Also, someone asked if you're going to be doing your Mario voice on the trip, and I said, unfortunately.
Yahoo! Yeah, we're going to Thailand, guys. Tickets go on sale Friday, October 3rd.
Hell yeah, man.
That's early bird pricing. It's going to be all you do is pay for that ticket and then get yourself there and back. You get your own flights, but so much is included.
Dirt cheap for a week in Thailand. Speaking of Mario, Xavier, I'm going to need a Mario voice every episode from now on. If I don't get it, I'm going to have to unsubscribe.
85% wanted it, Anthony.
I said don't encourage him. On our Batman episode, Robert John Leet, not doing the whole episode in a Batman and Joker voice, I'm going to have to unsubscribe.
That would have been tough and fun and exhausting.
I would have lost my voice.
Yeah, Anthony, you would not have been able to talk.
Matt, the character name in Batman Beyond is Terry McGinnis.
That's it.
I may have to unsubscribe for this, boys. JK.
It's been a while. It's been 20 years at least.
I think Film Mike, I think Fellowship is the best of the three Lord of the Rings films. Stands on, but it has such a huge task to set up for the next two films. Stands on its own really well. But also, Galadriel? That's an old episode.
Old episode.
Yeah, he went through a bunch of oldies.
That's 2020, man. Oh, remember when we posted that episode and like it did really well, but the comments, people went after us for mispronunciations. The Lord of the Rings episode specifically.
Yeah, for real. Jacob Snyder, James and Anthony, I'm questioning whether or not you're in the same room. If you aren't, I'll have to unsubscribe.
Oh yeah, because our sets are so different now.
Yeah.
We redid our sets if you watch on YouTube or Spotify.
Also, we got a lot of guys going through old episodes. Justin Chang watched our Oscars. I was not expecting to see my fantasy come to life with Dune Part 2 sweeping. Unsubscribe from the Oscars.
That's what should have happened.
All right, this is a good one, Nico. First, Unc Anthony not knowing what OP means. And then no Ratatouille. Jeez, guys.
They call you Unc?
Unc-thony.
You know Unc?
Yeah,
okay.
I know Unc.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like an old head. So he called me Unc-thony. I am Unc-thony.
I can't believe you know Unc.
Nico, thanks for mentioning Hideo Kojima and OD. Now, if you don't play Death Stranding, I'm going to have to unsubscribe. We'll see. And then... I feel like we had a...
Cool, let me get to a review.
Okay, this is from one more from Breck Fox. Why don't you go piss your pants, man? That was like 8 years ago. People don't forget. Except for Anthony, forgetting quite literally everything you guys discussed on movie news.
Thank you.
Get it together or I'll unsubscribe.
That's right. Like, when we're doing an episode, you're like, when did that happen? I'm like, dude, we talked about like 2 weeks ago for like 4 minutes.
We get a lot of emails.
Thank you, Breck.
There's a lot of emails, man.
What does emails have to do with anything?
Just like brain fog, man. There's so much information. We shouldn't be looking at so many emails.
Excuses. Here we go. Can I get to a review? You got more?
That's it.
Okay, this is from Nasafras. This is on Apple Podcasts, the only place you can leave written reviews. We love to read them on the show to immortalize people forever. Best movie podcast, 5 stars. Great couple of guys to listen to while driving, doing mundane tasks, or just chilling. My favorite part is the brotherly bickering, and there is plenty of it. Really, I don't even care about movies or what they have to say about them. Just kidding. Best place for casual movie talk. Nasafras, thank you so much for that 5-star written review.
So sweet.
Anyone can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Anyone. All you need is an email. You don't need an iPhone. Fun fact. Anthony, what is your streaming recommendation before we get back into this episode?
Just any Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
So Anthony didn't. Yeah. Anthony didn't get one.
No, I did. That's just any
of them. Where can they watch them?
All over the place. Everywhere.
My rec is the Blair Witch Project, the 2016 Adam Wingard.
Is this
version.
good?
I watched it last night.
Is it called the Blair Witch or the
Blair Witch Project?
Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah. I never saw it.
It's awesome. It kicks so much ass. They did a really good job with this one. It's legitimately, I think it's good of a remake as Evil Dead was. Reinventing it for new technology, new cameras.
It's called Blair Witch. Just Blair Witch?
Blair Witch?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Adam Wingard, who obviously did The Guest and then several of the Godzilla movies. This movie is awesome, guys. It's a high tension building fest, but man, I was terrified watching this one. I was scared. The sound design is incredible.
Was this his breakout?
Did
Did he do The Guest right after
he did this before The Guest, I believe. What year was The Guest?
I feel like The Guest was 2014, something like that.
That sounds about right. Yeah, Guest was
Yeah,
first.
Guest first, yeah.
Then he did
yeah, it
this.
was 2014.
Yeah.
Nice.
But this movie was awesome,
VHS
guys.
is where he broke out.
He was
on the first
the opening
VHS.
short of the first VHS.
That's what it is.
Which
and
did not
You're
age very
Next.
well, just
You're
saying.
Next. He made You're Next in 2011. Oh yeah, with Swanberg. Oh my God. Yeah, he started out big time in horror.
It's really good, guys. It really is.
Is Blair Witch good?
Moving on to Anthony generic answer. Any Paul Thomas Anderson movie, guys.
I'm just saying, watch any of them.
I couldn't pick one. I couldn't.
It's like picking a child. Who's your favorite child? There Will Be Blood's my favorite child.
Everyone knows you talk about it every day. Let's get
true.
back
That's
into
true.
one battle after another. Now, Anthony, since you love PTA movies so much, we both do. What for you sets one battle after another apart from the rest of his filmography in terms of not necessarily just being a better film, because I think it's still tough to rank his movies in general, but why maybe as an outlier, as the specific style of filmmaking, the story, what's so different about it from the rest of his filmography, in your opinion?
It's a great question.
Thanks.
I'll say a few things. Obviously, this is action heavy, and there are huge sequences that, I mean, he's never done anything on the scale before. Throughout every act of the film, and it's just the spectacle of it was just. He's got great spectacle in his other films. There Will Be Blood, the huge oil derrick sequence is unbelievable, and that's just one of my favorite set pieces ever. But there's huge high octane action in this film that you hadn't seen from him ever before. And on top of that, this film has a huge ensemble cast that he hasn't really tinkered with for a while. I also really like the generational divide of doing a big time jump. He's really only dabbled in, either it's set in one period or you're seeing an epic. But in this film, you're spending the first act of the film 20 years ago. Like I would say like the late 90s or like very early 2000s is where the film opens. And then we do a time jump for the rest of the film 20 years later. So to spend a significant amount of time just in two time periods, I don't think I'd seen him do that before. He hasn't done that before. Because he's done, the long epic.
Well, there's time jumps in There Will Be Blood.
No, yeah, but
But
it's
not
yeah,
long ones.
But it's a huge. That's an epic, which means that you're seeing the entire rise and fall of the character in many periods of their life. But this one is this. There's two, basically time period jumps. It's just the opening act and then older Leo and the repercussions of what he and his baby mama did back in the day. As well as this is just being really absurdist and very satirical. And again, like you said earlier, politically charged, which he hasn't touched on before.
That's a great answer.
This is a great question.
I agree with a lot of what you said. I also think that throughout his career, he's just grown so much as a filmmaker. But I think what's so specifically special, one of his great assets in his tool belt, his skill sets, is composition of frames, as well as camera moving and blocking. Mm-hmm. And he worked on this film with Michael Bauman, who's basically his new collaborator for DP, for cinematography since Licorice Pizza. And then they shot Phantom Thread, basically him as co-DP in a way. But then Michael Bauman comes back as just the cinematographer.
Yeah, they did Phantom Thread first.
What did I say?
Licorice Pizza.
Okay, so Licorice Pizza was the last movie. But Phantom Thread, they co-shot together because Michael Bauman's worked his way up from gaffer and lighting to being a cinematographer, which is so impressive. Now, the camera movement in this movie is really astounding. You know, we have great extensive tracking shots with long dolly tracks, great followings, which we get in all Paul Thomas Anderson movies. But then we have spectacles we never really seen before visually. And I think that we talked about this in our spoiler-free review a few weeks ago. One of my favorite sequences of film this entire year is the car chase in the finale. It's visually stunning. Never seen anything like it before, and I would love to know the BTS and how they shot this. I'm guessing using a zoom lens, zoomed all the way in, or just a long lens, and then just the way they were going over the hills of the highway with that zoomed in, that close up shot. It just looked so interesting. It was almost like you were riding waves, and it was visceral. Johnny Greenwood's score was bumping, and everything was bent on this car chase, because we've seen car chases a million fucking times in movies. But then you get an auteur like PTA, and how does he shoot a car chase like this? And I think it's really interesting, the word auteur, when we talk about with someone with PTA, because he talked about how he was doing his interview with Leo, and Leo's like, you know, someone who's like an art house filmmaker like PTA. And PTA is like joking, like, yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of an offensive thing to say. And he was like, oh, nobody, but like, you're such an artistic filmmaker. But PTA is basically saying, like, people only call me an art house because my movies aren't successful. But if I was making $200 million every movie, no one would call me an art house director.
It's true.
Which is very true.
Yeah.
So it's not that he's an art house or necessarily an auteur, where we would call Wes Anderson kind of more of an auteur. He's just such a great filmmaker overall.
This set piece at the end of the film is something that it's like one of those things where it's like you can't wait to learn how it was done, because it was that sensational. It's one of these things where it's just like, I am just dying for them to break down on special features and behind the scenes documentary work, how they shot this. Now, and it's just like, it's unbelievably impressive. Now, did this road already exist and PTA and his team discovered it and it fit what he wanted to do, or did they find this area and build this road? Because, I mean, this is a big budget, you know? Maybe
Matrix Reloaded built 2 miles of road,
an entire freeway
for the whole freeway sequence. Yeah,
it's absolutely feasible that with this kind of money they built this set piece, and it makes sense because they spend it's a short period of film, but it's extensively shot with a lot of coverage, and it's just very complex. So while I was after watching it, I was like, did they build that? It would make sense if they built it, because then it would, if you're building it, then PTA and his team can design it perfectly for what he wants to do.
Yeah,
gives them a lot of freedom.
It does look like it's asphalt that's had the sun hitting it for decades.
Yeah.
But that could just be good production design.
Exactly. But also, in terms of, like you said, the lensing of this, first of all, it's also incredibly edited. You know, cutting from these insanely visually stunning shots to reaction shots on the rear view mirrors, and then each driver, and you hear their engines. Each engine's different. So the editing and sound design is unbelievable. I was so curious, because what really made it visually unbelievable was you're going down the hill, but the lens is not dropping. It's instead pushing forward into the next hill. And so I was wondering, did they have it on the car, when the car went vertically down, did whatever the camera was rigged to, was the camera rising so it stayed level, if that makes sense? Like, the camera didn't seem to drop, but the car dropped. So we were approaching the next hill, but we weren't going down, because if the camera was strapped to the car normally, it would nosedive with the cars as they went down the hills. But the cameras didn't. The camera stayed fixed on the horizon line even as the cars went downward. So as I was watching it, I was like, they had some unbelievable camera rigging system that made sure the camera stayed kind of basically level with the horizon line as they even descended.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of the film. And this film is big. I mean, I think it's going to be analyzed and studied and picked apart, and there's going to be video essays for years to come, because there's so much to break down. So many characters, so many storylines. And, you know, Perfidia Beverly Hills, played by Tiana Taylor, she opens as one of the leads of the film. You know, she is the leader of this French 75 group. She comes from a line of revolutionaries, which ties later on in the film. It opens with them And Bob's part of the group. He's Rocket Man. He's the explosives demolitions expert. And they open the film, freeing the refugees coming across the border. We have the border wall shots. The Sean Penn sequence with Lockjaw, getting him an erection while she's taking him into custody and locking him and the other soldiers in the cells. And throughout the course of this opening, her and Bob have a relationship, but she also has this secret, intimate relationship with Lockjaw, who catches them as they're bombing political offices, they're bombing banks, they're doing terrorist things to send a message for the revolution. And she gets caught. And she makes a deal where she rats out the French 75. And Lockjaw thinks that they're going to start this relationship, this secret relationship.
Shows up with the flowers.
Flowers, then a sledgehammer. And she escapes after ratting on her friends. And Bob goes in exile with his newly born daughter, Willa, who Perfidia didn't want to raise because she needed to continue her revolutionary activities, but she does, get a letter to her later on in the film. Now, then we jump forward in time, and things have changed a lot. But I think it's a really strong, riveting opening, and it's got such great surrealist action, as well as the bank robbery sequence was phenomenal. I mean, that sequence was so raw, hardcore action. It was brutal. It was scary. When she kills the guy at the bank, my jaw was on the floor. And the attempted escape was excellent. It was well photographed.
People talk about how fast this movie moves for being so long. I think that this first act has a lot to do with it because it's the 30-minute montage, this whole opening. It flies by, and it really flows really effortlessly and smoothly with the musical choices, but also the way the editing and camera work melds together. The scenes are all short, but we're getting all the information we need. And we're getting a real sense for who these characters are, whether it be Bob or Perfidia or even Deandra, Regina Hall's character. And I really like how, even amongst this group of revolutionaries, Perfidia singles herself out as being really extreme, even for them. And, killing the guy in the bank, it shows that she's dangerous, which makes everybody kind of hesitant to take in Willa in the second half of the film. Those nuns at the church, they're like, this is Perfidia's daughter. That's kind of risky to take on because Perfidia was so wild.
No, it's not because she was wild. It's because she was a rat.
That too. Yeah.
Because she was a rat. That's really why they don't want to take her in. And
true.
It's like that. Yeah. Rats breed rats.
Yeah.
But you have to be. If you're extreme radical revolutionary, you have to do radical things.
Like when she's shooting the gun and Bob's like, it's almost like she doesn't even realize she's pregnant.
Yeah. But Willa has grown up in this odd lifestyle. She's got these odd techie things. I like these remote triggers that if you ever find someone that has one of these, trust them with your entire life. So we have the secret code, the secret society of this revolution that's still alive. It's still but it's underground now. What?
When Bob calls in,
oh my god! Every call is hysterical.
It's so funny.
I think that Leo is just so hysterical, and I love to see how he's been doing so much great comedy. This part in his career.
Yeah.
He did so many great dramatic roles. And he's so impressive of an actor. Not only is he a movie star, but he's doing exceptional acting, which is so rare to find. But he did very dramatic roles for such a long period of time, which had beats of humor here and there.
Yeah.
But, the last few years, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Rick Dalton, and here with Once Upon One Battle After Another, he is just having, the time of his life, it seems like, acting.
And I saw this great interview with PTA, and he said for part of, the plot's ideas, he said he was inspired by the idea of, he's a fan of Mission Impossible, friends with Tom Cruise, loves Tom Cruise movies. Who doesn't? And he said the concept for a lot of what you see in this movie comes from the idea of, what if Ethan Hunt can't remember the code? Because
what time is it?
Yeah, because in the second half of the Mission Impossible movies, the last four, we often see the code in the first act that he has to, one of the agents says a certain line, then he has to repeat another line, and then they give him the package which has the mission. And he said, he's like, what if Ethan Hunt can't remember the code? What happens? What if he can't remember what to say? And that's so much of that hinges upon Bob's conflict in this film. He's like, it's been 20 fucking years. I'm sorry I can't remember the code. Just give it some,
man. I've kind of just been smoking my life away.
We're smoking so much weed, man. It's just like I forgot everything. And then, oh my God. And then when the back and forth he has with the caller, the guy on the other line, it's some of the best humor in the film. And I was dying. It was so funny. And then when he basically gets that guy in trouble, and he's like, I'm really sorry. He's like, you better be sorry, man, motherfucker. It's so fucking funny. But I love the concept of like a secret society that hinges upon codes. And you can't remember the codes. It's so funny.
But at the heart of this huge story, we have a great plot of family. A pretty messed up family.
Yeah.
Because Perfidia, having an affair with Lockjaw, in a relationship with Bob, gets pregnant, doesn't know who the father is yet. Bob thinks it's his. Obviously, Lockjaw, we find out at the end of the movie, is the biological father of Willa, which is terrifying for her. And she obviously rejects him immediately. But the whole plot hinges on Lockjaw wants to join the Christmas Adventures Club, this crazy white supremacist group that run the world, apparently. And he can only join if he meets the requirements. And one of the requirements is you can't have interracial relations. He's lying that he has, and obviously they discover that he has, and that's why they send Smith after to kill him. But he's trying to get rid of the evidence, basically. First of all, he wants to try to prove that this girl is not his daughter with the DNA test. So he'll go to the end of the earth using his resources as a colonel to find her. And that's why she's on the run. And obviously, I think one of the best sequences in one of the scenes in the movie is when Deandra finds Willa at her high school dance in the bathroom. It's a really powerful scene. And, you know, everything of Willa's entire life, her entire being, her upbringing of not having a mother has put her in this position with the warnings of her father, her crazy pot-smoking father. Always keep this with you. If anyone's ever around you that has one as well, trust them with your life. This is the moment that I've been kind of trained for forever in taking that leap of faith.
It was like a John Connor in T2 kind of
Sort
moment.
of, yeah.
Of like, well, my mom's not crazy. My dad's not crazy. It's all real.
Come with me if you want to live. Basically,
I have my very own Terminator.
Yeah. Obviously, she goes to that convent, the secret society convent, but Lockjaw infiltrates it and takes her hostage. And I think the DNA sequence in the church, the DNA test, is one of the most terrifying moments of the film as well, and one of the most powerful. But Bob will do anything to find his daughter. And with the help of Benicio del Toro's character, Sergio, who basically is the karate sensei, Willa's karate sensei, and also the leader of the underground undocumented community in Backton Cross, the town they're living in. This crazy adventure of trying to find his daughter is the heart of the story and leads to their reunion at the end of the film, which is so powerful and moving.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Bob's story is trying to find his daughter, and then Willa's story is trying to break out of the chain of events that her parents let her into. And the ending is really powerful when they're reunited. And at the end of the day, like, Bob didn't have to be the hero of the story. He just needed to be a dad again. That's what his emotional journey was, not to save Willa, but to show that he can be there for her finally. Because the thing with Bob is he's still reeling from the grief of basically being abandoned by Perfidia and betrayed by her, and it's just weighed him down so much where that's why I think he's become a hermit and just smokes his life away. He's not become a good dad. He's not a good dad. Like, Willa kind of has to take care of him. And I think the course of this film, when he loses his daughter, he realized, I need to be a dad again. So his journey is to find Willa and to be a dad to her finally. And he does that. And Willa ends up being the hero of her own story.
But it's not that he's a bad dad, but he's overprotective.
Yes.
He has to let her go. And by the end of the film, he lets her go. You know, he's not on her and take this thing with you. And who are your friends? Who's that? Why are they here? Why are you bringing your friends
here?
But at the end of the film, you know, she gets the call for the protest in Oakland, and he has no problem with letting her go. Just says, basically, be careful. And he lays back down on the couch to smoke another doobie. So he has to be a dad, but he also wants to be a better dad.
Yeah. I was surprised how, and I think that's why people are really resonating with the film is because it has a lot of heart to it.
Yeah.
It has a lot of love in it. And like ending with her reading her mom's letter and then hugging her dad, I thought it was really touching. I wasn't expecting that from this movie. It was really great. It was, man, I think PTA, he's going to have like a Nolan type year from Oppenheimer. Just, I think he's going to collect a lot of accolades from this.
I could see screenplay, director, best picture. I think those three could happen.
I can't think of a screenplay that's because the strength of this movie is like you're watching this movie, and even if you don't like this movie, I know that there's plenty of people who aren't enjoying the film from what I've seen from discourse, but the majority of people are loving it. Even if you don't like this movie, you can't predict what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes in this movie.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's coming next. And that's this movie's so special. Like you can't see anything coming. Like every next scene is a surprise. And there's just something special about that. It's such a great script, and it's so original and unique, and really just like you're watching it unfold, and you can't predict anything about this movie.
I'm calling 4 Oscar wins.
Nice, dude.
Heard it here, including Best Picture.
What are the other ones?
Director, screenplay, and supporting actor for Sean Penn.
Interesting.
Those are my guesses.
I think it'll get a ton of nominations and will win Best Picture, Best Screenplay, Best Director.
So you're calling 3 wins.
I'm calling 3 wins. But it's going to get a ton of nominations.
Man, what a film. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm looking forward to rewatches down the line. And I hope it really motivates people to check out more of Paul Thomas Anderson's films. We've been to a couple events for this movie, fortunately, the world premiere. And, talking to younger film creators and film influencers, not many of them know his filmography that well. And that can help make me think that the people who follow them, or even a lot of people who follow us, don't know his filmography that well either, or have seen many of his movies outside, like There Will Be Blood. Mm-hmm. Can't recommend enough going through PTA's filmography. They're all incredible movies, and they're so different. So, just because maybe Phantom Thread is not your cup of tea, Magnolia is fantastic, and There Will Be Blood so different, and then The Master is remarkable.
A lot of people watch Boogie Nights for the first time because of our episode.
Yeah.
We've gotten a lot of comments and DMs from people saying they watched Boogie Nights and loved it.
I'm sure they did, because it's an amazing movie. So open up your film palette, go through PTA's career. I know he's not like a rock star name for average people out there like Christopher Nolan. Everyone knows that guy's name. But Paul Thomas Anderson movies are astounding. He's one of the best filmmakers alive.
And if you haven't seen One Battle and you watch this whole episode, now go see it.
Well, they've definitely watched they've definitely seen
people watch our episodes without seeing the movie. It's true.
That's a good point.
Do. Yeah.
We're better than the movie. Just kidding. We're not. But thanks so much for tuning into this episode, guys. We appreciate it. As always, do the things. Join on YouTube. Become a member for access to early episodes and bonus episodes. Become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of Lost Podcast. Also, bonus episodes, access to our Discord, and all kinds of other perks. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. Subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and take care.
See you next time.
This episode was executive produced by our chosen one patrons, Nicholas Martin and Jacob Kossler. Raiders of the Lost Podcast is a Mirror Image production.